Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
Not too bad. Busy.
Yeah. How is it going?
We got about half of our
Can
bookings
you
so
hear
far.
us?
That's good.
1, 2, 3.
Hello.
Carsten, yes, we can hear you.
How is my audio as well?
Das ist noch nicht so
It's good.
erfolgreich. Interne Speakers, interne Mikrofon. Sieht alles gut aus.
There is a new WebEx extension for the Brave browser, which is essentially Chrome.
Was ist denn
Just
dieses Rot hier?
installed.
To hear others speak, increase your system volume.
I think Carsten is not hearing us.
Yeah, WebEx just gave me an interesting recommendation, increase system volume. And I just did this, and so now I hear you. You are shouting at me, but I hear you.
Good, good.
So everybody can hear everybody.
So I sent around an Etherpad link. Copy that to the what's going on? So just in case you wonder, Klaus is sitting beside me. That's why he hasn't switched on the audio, and Ari is still over in the other room in the 1DM meeting, fixing some example data models that we were discussing there. So this is making interesting progress, and we just finished our first release candidate of the modeling language. So that's a big milestone we reached earlier today, just for information. So anything we need to add to the agenda, change in the agenda? So maybe we should wait for 2 or 3 more minutes. Hi, Thomas.
Hi, Carsten. Hi, all.
So as I mentioned, we're at the 1DM meeting right now and standardizing modeling language for data models, and actually looking at some OCF and OMA data models today. So I think we wait until 3 or 4 minutes after the hour. So there is a recording button here that, okay, normally it displays a tooltip when I go there, but it didn't do that this time. Hi, Hannes. The agenda is visible in the Etherpad, the link for which I just sent around again on the WebEx chat. So it looks like this will be a short agenda because we don't actually have people for the CoreConf and the SHIC item today. Anything else we should add to the agenda? So who is calling user 2? Somebody dialed in by phone.
Yeah, I think that's me, moi, mais beaucoup derrière.
Hi. Good. So let's quickly run through this. Talking about document status, the multi-part content format is in the RFC editor queue. So that's another document that we have completed. The resource directory is in the continues to be in the AD abbreviation, which I think is kind of normal because it's not a short document and it does raise a few questions. The SendML Edge, Ari just told me I can report he is working on the remaining issues. As you may know, Ari is not actually working these days because he has a recent child and he still couldn't tell me what's his name. So they probably will spend the next few days finding a name for him. So if you have suggestions, you can still send them to him. So SendML Edge should become ready in a couple of weeks. Hop limit, we will have a short item as a next agenda item. And I think we are all done with this document, but there is an obsteer review that is questioning why we are not making a stronger recommendation about actually using this. So let's talk about that in a couple of minutes. The echo request tag document is in post-working group last call processing. And Francesca has submitted a new review. Probably some of the feedback you got from that, Francesca, was in the hallways here in the building. Do you have any news from that?
Do you mean if I've heard from the others or?
Yes, I ran into John this morning. I should have asked him.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume they've seen it, but I haven't talked to them.
Okay. I think this was a good review, so we certainly want to make sure that the authors have a chance to work on this, and if other people are interested in the points that Francesca raised, of course you can also make yourself heard. So I think that we will have to wait for the authors to react on that. CNML more units is in working group last call for another week. So far I haven't heard anything, but I wouldn't mind getting some feedback when people have read this really short document, whether they like it or what needs to be fixed. So these are the current documents that are actually in some processing state. I see that the core conf documents have recently, or some of them have recently been updated, and I expect the rest of them to be updated in sync. So any day now we should be able to do the working group last call, unless somebody has a problem with that. And the other item that I put on the agenda provisionally, the COPE-SHIC stuff, that's not something that happens in this working group, but it happens in the LP-WAN working group. And they are defining a way to process the COAP protocol, in particular to compress it. And of course, we should make sure that this compression scheme doesn't have any properties that restrict us in the further development of the protocol and so on. So it's important for us to actually review this. I know that some reviews have already happened behind the scenes, and yeah, if you are interested in the core protocol itself, that's one document that's recommended for reading. And I forgot to put on the name there. I do that in a minute. So that's document status. Any other document that you want to declare missing? Or in the email with the agenda earlier today, I mentioned that for stateless, we are actually waiting for a new submission, and once we have that, we probably will also proceed with this document. Any other documents that you care about? Good. So let's talk about hop limit.
Carsten, sorry, Hannes here. I was wondering, I had submitted this local base name in CNML because we needed some functionality in the lightweight M2M, as you know, because we got a few things wrong, a misunderstanding. And I was wondering how I should best proceed with that.
Right. We had a discussion in the face-to-face meeting, and my impression was that there was something like a way forward out of that discussion.
Okay, I would check the meeting minutes then.
Let me quickly have a look. 105. Yeah, so what the minutes say that there was a sense in the room that we need to solve this. And there was also another document from Ari. And I was kind of assuming that Ari and you are going to get together and find out what the next step
Mm.
should, because there are some architecture requirements on doing this.
Yeah.
And yeah, now again, Ari is in parental leave right now, so that may not be easy to do. On the other hand, he is in the next room, so I probably can go over and poke him.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't saw his document as an alternative solution, but it added some extra. I call it complementary. But yes, if you could talk to him, that would be great.
Yeah, we do.
Hannes, Jaime here, just a very quick comment. The local base name that you use there, is that the path? It looks like the part of the path for the, in example at least, for the temperature measurement. So it wouldn't be a base name, right?
It's probably,
or maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I should read it more thoroughly.
yeah, it's probably a longer discussion, but the idea is that you don't have to, or you don't send a unique base name, because the uniqueness is implied by its use, and we somehow had to distinguish it from the other base name. So that's why I called it local base name. But yeah, so I don't know if other people sort of got that wrong. We, as you know, like in Lightweight M2M in the group didn't notice it until someone pointed it out, unfortunately, after the document was published. So I suspect in the interop events, everyone has gotten that wrong. So, and the interop event takes place next week, so I will be able to tell more next week.
Okay, so
Okay, thanks.
would be a good thing to actually get a little bit of progress this week, so you can take it to the interop event.
Yep.
Thank you. So anything else on document status? Okay, so let's talk about hop limit. We had a discussion about the intended usage of the hop limit document. That's section 1.1 in the document now. And since this has been developed for a specific application, one way to read this document would have been to say, oh, this is just for dots signaling, and nobody else cares about this. But what the section 1.1 of the document is trying to say is this is a general functionality, and it's actually now recommended to implement. And there was a comment from Scott Bradner as part of the operations area directorate review that this might even be too weak, and we really should always send this and so on. And what I would like to find out in this meeting is the text that we have in the current document actually the consensus of the working group? Or in other words, should we try to push back on Scott Bradner's comment? Or do we actually agree that the language here actually should be even stronger, and we might even include something about updating 7252 for this requirement? So I would like to hear whether people think the text is what we want, or we should change it, or make it weaker, maybe.
At least from when I was reviewing the hop limit option, it was very reasonable for loop detection. in the cases that DOTS was having, but I don't know if people in Lightweight M2M, for example, in OMA have experienced the same problems. So I don't know if it solves any problem that at least in Lightweight M2M you might have. I don't know if in Fair Hair maybe or others.
You don't have the problem if you don't have proxies.
Exactly.
I don't know all the lightweight M2M deployments, but I would expect that proxies are not the usual way in which you run lightweight M2M, except maybe on the server platform you might have some proxies going on. So just to remind people, I'm pasting that text into the Etherpad. So it says the intended usage is general, and Query proxies are expected to implement this option and have it enabled by default. So of course we could use 2119 language, uppercase must or something like that. On the other hand, this is an elective option, so it's a bit weird. We build it in a way that you can ignore it if you don't understand it. So it's a bit weird to say you must implement it if we also provide a way to ignore it.
But that's just the upgrade path to the state that we
Yeah,
want to have.
yeah. So that's the transition model from the protocol as we know it that didn't have this to the way that we expect proxies to be run in the future. But there's also visual wording here that says if you know you don't have this problem, you don't have to implement it. So the cost is that any proxy has to add at least 2 bytes to the message. Whether it's exactly 2 bytes depends on some details, what other options are in the message. 2 bytes may sound trivial, but in some web applications that's actually something you would notice. So it's not clear that we really want to have this always, but on the other hand, for a proxy, if you write a new proxy implementation, this is something you should implement. Any other opinions on this?
I think one part.
Just to be clear, even if it is a must, even if it's a must, it is optional not to implement it, so it doesn't hurt. Even if, I mean, in any case, you can the developer, the deployment can choose what to do. So what is the practical difference?
Well, the practical difference is what signal are we sending out there? And right now we are using some weak wording. Proxies are expected to implement this. And by putting in a must, this would go into checklists for RFPs and things like that. So it is we can send stronger signals if we want to.
To me, it sounds good. I mean, if everybody agrees with the hop limit option as such, why not making it more mandatory? Sorry for interrupting again.
So also one part of the question was if we need to put updates RFC 7252. So I think, yes, we should have some kind of keyword here. But I think the general idea of this paragraph is right, that you are expected to do this unless there's knowledge that is not needed. Not sure about the updates.
Yeah, so the minimum thing we could do is change this are expected to into must. I love Etherpad. So this would be one way of sending a stronger signal.
Do we need to talk about implementation versus enablement? Is that the same or not?
Well, right now, this text would put the must on both the implementation and the default enablement.
Do we need to talk about the implementation at all? I have to admit that I never understood this must implement, but not required to enable funny business.
Well, it does give the person who's configuring a system some leeway configuring it off.
But if you never turn it on, why do you implement it on your constraint device, for example?
Because you have to give the game configurator the option to turn it on. Now, if you actually write must include this option or something like that, you create another effect, which is that a receiver can rely on having that option, and I really don't think that's something we want to say. So receivers should still be prepared to accept COAP messages that do not have this option.
And not all requests must have passed through a proxy anyway.
Right. So if this is a must send, for instance, you could use the presence of the option to find out whether the request came through a proxy or not.
Is that our X forwarded for?
Well, not exactly, but yeah, it has a similar effect, and yeah, we have to decide whether we want to have this effect or not. So formally speaking, the document is not in our hands as a working group right now, but of course we have to get some resolution of Scott Bradner's comment, preferably before the operations management AD puts in their vote. So we could send in an indication of direction that we want to turn this into a must implement, but keep the question of having it enabled open. So is that what we want to do? 2 bytes. Okay. Yeah, I think I go forward with less resistance to Scott Bradner's comment than I thought. So we would be happy with replacing I expected to with must.
Carsten, another comment on the hop limit. What happens with the comment about section 6.2 about the options? He says that maybe we have to extend the table in the RC. I don't know if that should be something for the group or if maybe we could discuss that later. But
Yeah, I think that's more of a general observation. We have this weird situation that the option number actually expresses the value of the C, U, and N bits, while the R bit and the data type, which by the way is missing in this table, interesting, should be in there. Interesting. I didn't notice that. The data type is missing. Anyway, the R bit and the data type are actually pieces of information that you have to find in the specification reference from the registry. And the C, U, and N bits, of course, you can also find in the specification reference from the registry, but they are also expressed in the option number. And I think Scott's comment was that really all this information should be in the registry. And that's not something I would strictly deny. The registry would be more useful with all that information in it. But that's a change that's kind of orthogonal to this document.
I can add a paragraph to my upcoming core parameters draft.
Uh-huh.
But adding some notes to the IETF would be helpful.
Yeah.
And by the way, in hop limit-06, these things are fixed.
Oh, I'm looking into the wrong version. I'm sorry. Can you say more about this upcoming draft? I don't know
I
what it
already
was.
presented that once in a core interim, and it just overhauls all the IAN narrative speeds of
Uh-huh.
core. But there were many open questions.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that a formal draft? Because that would be useful in answering.
Not yet.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a timeline for preparing that?
Probably not before the next IETF.
Do you remember when you presented that?
Give me a few seconds to add it to the guide.
Okay. Great. Okay, anything else about this UPSTER review? As far as I know, we don't have any other of the directorate reviews yet.
Yeah, there's only this review from the security directorate, but it was only editorial, I would say, modification. There is nothing I would say problematic there. Yeah, coming back to this comment from Klaus about updating RFC 7252, I don't think we formally update that RFC, so I don't think we need to reopen that point again.
Yeah, I think what we want to do now, because it's not our document at the moment, is just define the red lines within which the working group can move. So if any of the ADs says yes, this should be an update, then we can just react by saying, okay, let's do that. Just making sure that we don't do something that the working group wouldn't want us to do. So the SecDIA The Sectia one is still pending. The GenArt one. The GenArt one has been submitted, but in the data tracker, I don't find the Sectia.
There is, yeah, I can send you the pointer.
By Raja Perlman?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because that's not in the data tracker yet.
Okay.
That's always very confusing. Okay, but I think we are good now. So we know what we want to do here. Any other comments on that document?
Should I release a new version with this mass modification, or should we wait before we hear back from the discussion you may have with Scott?
I think it would be good to have the actual reactions of the area directors, because the directory reviews are really just for the hands of the area directors. So I will probably reply to Scott, send another reply to Scott saying that we discussed this in the working group and we are ready to go for a must here. And but I think you should update the document when the area directory says whether they want us to do this or not.
Okay.
Okay. With that, we are already through the agenda. Oh, any other business? There are 2 more interims before the Singapore meeting. There's also one on November 13, but I think most people are in some form of travel state at this point, so we cannot usefully have an interim on the 13th. Yeah, as I wrote in the agenda mail, that there are a few items that we need to do. Unfortunately, Michael Costa couldn't talk today about the PubSub thing because he's in yet another telephone conference at the moment. So that's definitely one item we want to discuss. I think we want to discuss the group communications work.
Yes, and there was some plans made in Montreal for having a short workshop on the topic.
Yes.
Here in Chista. And I sent out a study poll a couple of months ago, and that indicated that the week of October 16th would be best for everyone who had filled out the doodle poll. So Marco and Ricard and Francesca, should we pick Monday and Tuesday of that week, and then use the interim on the 16th to get wider feedback?
Sounds great to me. Thanks for raising this up, Klaus. Just to give also more information for.
Sorry.
Also, thanks. More information for the Etherpad. This is not only about Grupo Score, but actually mostly on 2 other drafts in core related to group communication. So the group discovery with the resource directory and the responses over multicast.
That's all? I thought you had 10,000 more drafts somewhere.
Yeah, but they are all in A's. And
my guess from your doodle request was about those 2 in particular as not adopted documents. But yeah, we can check if there are more that we are forgetting.
Okay. I think it would be good if you would be discussing these together, so you make sure they actually fit well to each other. But yes, we have a lot of work to do in the core work group. It's not just the ACE work, it's the core work that needs to be done, and it would be great to have a meeting for that. Okay, so this means that the interim on the 16th could discuss this. And the other thing that we probably want to push forward a little bit is Coral.
When is the ID cutoff? The November 4th.
Yeah, so on the 30th we can still do useful things.
That sounds like a good plan.
Okay. Any other business? So thank you all for coming, and hopefully see you on the 16th.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.